Welcome to New Hampshire's Education Data Literacy Framework series. This video is one of 11 that guides you through various components of the Education Data Literacy Framework. This particular video will provide an introduction to how you and your program or district can implement data use teams and cycles to ensure continuous improvement. Let's take a closer look at today's objectives. Understand what a data team is and how you might build one. Understand how to create an ongoing process of data analysis and reflection through using the data inquiry cycle. Let's begin with thinking about who is involved with data in your program, district, or classrooms. Who collects the data? Who sees it and uses it? Who is the data about? The answers may be different for each of these contexts. If you are a classroom teacher, you may consider pulling in people you work with to help you understand your data use. You could include your paraprofessionals, other classroom teachers, specialized teachers, family members, or even students. But if you are the only one working with your children, you could simply make this a one-person effort and focus on your classroom from your unique teacher perspective. If you are a part of a small or large program or school district, and you have the capacity, you can create a data use team. A data use team can include different individuals with knowledge of children and youth, data, and specialty knowledge such as assessment or evaluations for eligibility for special education. There is no minimum or maximum number of members who can be a part of this team, though groups of 3 to 7 tend to be more manageable. If you decide to build a data use team, think about the team culture and what questions you need to ask to lay a foundation for the work. What is everyone's background in data? Are we using the same terminology when we talk about data? What are our goals as a data use team? What is everyone's role in the team? How often will we meet? You will probably want a regular meeting time. Who will lead the meetings and track next steps? Maybe you will want a note taker. What work will occur during the meetings and what tasks will be accomplished between meetings? If you are a part of a program or school district, let's consider who may be on your data use team. If you are a larger program or district, think about the teams that you currently have and if these teams could serve as your data use team. For instance, maybe you already have a leadership team. As long as the team has capacity, there is no need to reinvent the wheel and create another team, though you may want to consider if additional members may be needed. Similarly, if there is a group that already meets to discuss data, you can use this group as your data use team. If you are a smaller program, maybe just a few staff meet regularly. This could become your data use team. For example, maybe there are only 3 teachers and 1 director in your child care program. This small group can take on the role of your data use team. Looking at this image, think about who is and who is not included in your data use team. What roles or voices might you be missing? Does your team have a depth of experiences, skills, and knowledge sets that are aligned with your identified goals? Perhaps a particular voice is missing, maybe that of a particular stakeholder you haven't thought to engage before, such as parents or family members. Having various perspectives is helpful to creating the most well-rounded team. If possible, you want to have various opinions on your team because this can spark different thoughts, ideas, or directions. Every data use team will look different, yet it can still be valuable to look at other programs and district teams for ideas on who to include. Looking at other teams may help spark an idea of a missing person you may not have initially considered for your team. Now that you have a group of people to support data efforts, let's take a look at how to support your team in using data. The strategy we will present in this video is known as the data inquiry cycle. When considering data, the first step is for you and your data team to ask questions. Identify clear, direct questions that you want to know about your program, district, or classroom. Consider your vision and mission and what you need to know in order to advance your program to achieve those goals. If you have not already viewed it, the video on purpose and vision in this series provides additional information regarding establishing these key priorities. The next step is to investigate. Here you look at data currently available and identify if additional data needs to be collected to help you answer your questions generated in step 1. Once you've identified the data you need, it's time to interpret the data. Your data team will examine the data from different angles, looking at what factors impact the data. For example, are the results higher for girls? Does the data vary by program or classroom? Look for patterns and differences that help you analyze the data and better understand how to address the questions you posed in the beginning. A great resource for facilitating this process is the IDC Data Meeting Toolkit. This tool provides valuable step-by-step guidance on how to prepare for and facilitate conversations to interpret data. A link to this tool is included in the resources at the end of this presentation. Now that you understand what is going on and impacting the data, it is time to act. Use the findings from your data to take action and make changes that will positively impact your area of focus. After taking action, it is essential to set aside time to reflect. This is where you and your data team re-examine the data and any new information to consider the impact of your action. Did you achieve what you expected? Why or why not? What additional questions surfaced? And what are the next steps? You may have noticed the arrow pointing back to the first step. That is because data processes are cyclical. They build on each other and evolve and change based on stakeholder feedback, progress made, new questions that need to be addressed, and new technologies for managing data. We often refer to this as a continuous improvement cycle. Every piece of data you collect, share, and use should be able to be analyzed and reflected upon, meaning each piece of data you collect can be looked at to answer questions to improve outcomes for families, students, or staff. We do this analysis and reflection to determine whether current practices are working us towards our ultimate vision or whether adjustments are needed. Using this data inquiry cycle, you will have a great foundation for improving the quality of your programming for children and youth. When collecting data and using the data inquiry cycle, it is important to make sure you are collecting the right data. You want your data to be purposeful and able to answer your questions. It's easy to get caught up in what you think you should collect or what has been collected in the past. Be sure to build in time to reflect on the data you are collecting. If it doesn't add value to your program, then is it really worth your time or resources to collect? One strategy for approaching this is to leverage your data use team. Ask team members to do a quick survey on how your program or district uses data and then analyze those results. In other words, do a self-assessment on how you collect, share, and use data. Ask your data use team a variety of questions such as, to what extent do you agree that as a program we are collecting the correct amount of teacher-level data? Or what questions do you think we should be answering with data? Once you have the results from the survey, you can take a look with your data use team and think about where the sticking points are and in which areas we can focus to improve the way you use data. Other ideas for this self-assessment include conducting informal observations, interviews, and using rating scales, which ask someone to rate how well the data use is working for them. So, what does it really look like to use the data inquiry cycle in my classroom site, program, or district? One example is having a data calendar, having distinct times of the year that you look at data. Reserving set times to look at specific data over the course of the year can keep you accountable and ensure you are using the data. Another example is choosing to incorporate the data inquiry cycle into your already established meetings. Taking the time in your regularly scheduled agenda to utilize the data inquiry cycle and ask a critical question and examine data based on your data review calendar. If the question is new and not part of your annual data review, identify a team member or team members to investigate and bring the data to the next meeting for the team to analyze. As an example, 1 week in your data use team meeting, the team focuses 15 minutes on the question, how are children faring in one particular social-emotional skill of interacting with peers? During the week, identified team members pull child-level reports and conduct observations of classrooms with the focus of interacting with peers. At the end of the week, the reports and observations are shared with and interpreted by the team. The team identifies a pattern in the data and comes up with a few different action steps for staff to implement to improve children's ability to interact with their peers. For example, the team may note that the majority of class time is spent on individualized work. There are limited opportunities for peer interactions. Based on this, the team may act by having coaches work with educators to revise their schedules and lesson plans to incorporate more peer interaction. You can see that just taking a few minutes every meeting to ask one data-related question can allow you to identify opportunities for improvements in program quality that you may not have otherwise noticed. As you think about the next steps, the resources shared on this slide may help you in thinking about how to best work with your data teams and leverage everyone's input and expertise. We've covered a lot. We hope this video has given you a starting point in thinking about analyzing and using your data in a systematic way. Thank you for watching.